Welcome back to the channel, and today's video is about finalising that T-72 Iraqi Army late 80s, early 90s build, and we'll just put a few colours on, go crazy with them, get them finished, and then next video we'll do the crew, and then the vehicles, I'm going to call them done. So the first colour I'm going to use is, I'm just going to use that black primer and just a drop, and I just want to touch up the end of the barrel. So just put a tiny little drop on the palette there. I'm going to use a 0 brush to start with, and I'm just going to go to the end of those barrels and just put a bit of black on them. And then you can just touch up anywhere if you want. If you find a spot you think you want a little bit of black, maybe some overpainting on these machine guns or something, and you want to put a bit of black somewhere. So I'll use that black primer just on the end of the barrel. You can see that barrel there is green, so just make it black. In another video, if we do these tanks again, we might drill the barrels out. So, but for now, just that's that first colour, just across each barrel, and then I'll rinse that brush off. Next colour we're going to use is white or ivory, so I've just got white here. Unfortunately, the label's faded off of it, so just a drop of white. I've just got it all over myself. It's not good, is it? And that white, I'm just gonna do a very poor attempt at going around these barrels with that white. Make sure you get underneath them. One's a bit thicker than the others, but you can play around with them. Get a nice white band on it. Remember, I'm just doing it to just a basic, modelling technique, not a professional at all. So we've got that band around the tank barrels. So we're finished with the white. Using the same brush, 0 brush, I'm going to move on to gold. So the tiniest drop of gold on the palette. When it decides to come out. And the gold, I just want to put just a line across here, just where the ammunition belts fed into the machine gun. So just a tiny line across there. That one I did off camera, but just touch it up a bit, and that just gives it that little look like ammunition is on the feed tray for the machine gun. Then next I'm going to use a purple. Once again, it's just a drop of purple, and that's for these infrared searchlights. So just a drop of purple on them. Just a different colour to the blue we use for the optics. So I like that being a different colour, so I'll do that across all of them. So they've all had that colour put across them. So it just gives them that little bit of extra detailing. Then I'll just rinse out that zero brush. We won't need that for a minute. And I'm going to go to a number 1 brush. And the colour I'm using now with the number 1 brush is, when I find it, tan yellow. I'll give that a good squeeze on the palette. And what I'm doing with the tan yellow is mix it with a bit of water. I'll just come back out. You can see the brush up here in the right hand side. Water in this tray. That colour, I just put out tan yellow here. Water, tan yellow. So you can see it in that, just up in that right hand corner. And then I'm just going to brush that onto the model. I'll zoom in like that. And what I'm going for is that sandy desert look. Like Iraq desert is so sandy that a lot of people go for that black look like we've got on the rear deck all over the vehicle. But I think being an Iraqi army build, desert environment, I'm going to go for a bit more of a little bit of a sandy look. So just run that colour across the tanks. You can go as heavy or as light as you want if you're going to sort of use that sandy look. You really want to still be able to see the camouflage pattern. And I'm not going to do too heavy over the rear engine deck because I want that to look oily and muddy and greasy, like the sand's there, but it's just gone black from the engines. And I go along the barrel, give that a bit. And this is where I was talking in one of the earlier videos about weathering them down. So, but not so much using that traditional like black sort of shading wash, using just one of the paints that's going to give it. And when that dries, see this tank on the right here has had a light wash. I did it off camera. I'm doing the same thing here, so it does dry differently. And when we put it onto the little display, you know, the thing I bought that spins around anyway, that when we put it on that and have a look at them, you'll see how different it looks when it's dry. So just run that colour all around them. I'll do that for all 3 of them. Give them all a good wash with this. Maybe not so much on that searchlight. And then once I've done that, so I'll go around off camera and sort of just do exactly what I did with that tank, but I'll do that with all of them. And then I'll just rinse that brush out quickly. And then I'm going to go over them again with that Ordnance shade from that Soviet box set. And I'll put a little bit of that in the palette. And I actually go fairly heavy with it. I don't water it down too much or anything. And then I just go over these fuel drums again. I'll just run it across those fuel drums and across these back decks, the rear engine decks. So I'll spin them around. And so what you get is that transition from like a sandy, dusty look to that sort of dirty, oily rear engine look that's a bit sort of gross because, you know, tanks are big machines with big engines in them. These guys in the late 80s, early 90s, the Iraqi armoured divisions were just everywhere. You know, they were fighting along the border with Iran. Then they were sort of in towards Kuwait, and they were just, you know, they're just always in the field, always moving somewhere. So yeah, just transition those two colors, which is the sort of dark shading and that sandy look. So this will dry, this one on the right here will dry, and it will look just like sand, like a bit of sand in the vehicle, but on the vehicle, sorry. And I'll just, yeah, give that little bit of highlight maybe around these canvas skirts on the decks. And I'm going to say that's it for the tanks. That I'm going to call them done for our Iraqi Army tank build for me. And the only thing we'll do in the next video is the crew. So I'll paint up some crew. I'll film it obviously, and then we'll put the crew in, and then we'll make another video after that just on the little turntable, just having a look at the build and my final thoughts on this build. So one more video after this of actual assembly stuff, and then a display video. So they're coming along well. We're going to have really nice looking T-72 tanks once they're finished. So thanks for watching.